Welcome to Meaningful Mornings and a continuing joyous Deepavali to all. This morning, when we take our children to school, then Shuka and Vyasa are going to hand their teachers a card, and this is what the card is going to say. This is one of their three teachers. Dear Miss Chandler, I hope this message finds you well. In my religion, Hinduism, today we celebrate Deepa, in brackets, lights, and Avali, in brackets, rose of. Deepavali is a festival to remind me the purpose of life is to be joyous. This involves me living with dedication to self-development and societal development every day. By practicing being more cheerful, my face will be lit with a smile, and I will light the faces of those around me with a smile. Smile, joyous Deepavali to you. Respectfully, Shuka, respectfully, Vyasa. Shall I email this card to you also? That you can share with yourself and others. And Sheila and I have made a donation to our local food bank on behalf of the teachers and students in these classes. We consider today to be a new year. Why? Because when Rama comes to Ayodhya, for us, when we rediscover joy in our hearts, all is new, all is fresh. Who we are and what we do all changes. And then we become more sharing. All those who lived in Ayodhya, when Sri Rama came home, this was described as Rama Rajya, where there is peace inside and prosperity outside. My observation of how people celebrate Deepavali, toys and treats. Toys are plastic, treats are sugar. This shows a lack of peace inside, and we're not creating prosperity outside. We're only creating poison outside. Plastic and sugar are poisons, no? One in a macro sense, one in a micro sense. Avichara krito bandha. This is a powerful phrase, which means living by thoughts is limiting. Thoughts are instinctive. We're having them right now. Do you know your thoughts? Are you directing your thoughts? Vicharena nivartate. That's the continuation of this phrase, which means thinking, living by thinking is freeing. Thoughts are limiting. Thinking is freeing because this is not instinctive. This is reflective. Our Varna is comprised of Guna, Karma, Vibhagashaha. The composition is Guna and Karma. For those who are instinctive, Varna equals Karma. It is what they're doing externally. For those who are reflective, Varna equals Guna. Not what they're doing externally, but what they're feeling internally. The Guna Karma Vibhagashaha is a system to evolve. to live intentionally. That is your guna, so that one becomes more selfless. That is the inclination of our personality. Again, I've almost invested an hour into one verse now. This varna is our varna. This is personal, not external. If you reflect on the Ramayana, Hanuman externally looks like a monkey. Jambavan externally looks like a bear. Jatayu externally looks like a vulture. Yet each of them is respected and loved in the Ramayana. Agreed? Am I making this up? In comparison, Ravana was as if born as a Brahmana. Ravana, when he first interacts with Devi Sita, is dressed up as a sannyasi. See how externally Brahmana, sannyasi, but internally self only. The final sentiment on this verse is the need for swadhyaya. Swa means oneself. Adhyaya means analysis or classification, so that one accepts who they are and can adapt from there, as in evolve from there. Enough para adhyaya, where we're studying others, classifying others. As soon as there is a comparison with another, what comes with that? Inferiority, superiority, jealousy. That's what the world describes as casteism, the caste system. This is all an instinctive perspective. For all of us now, vidya. Vidya means healing. Vidya means reflective. Varna means a self-color system to evolve. We continue. You thought we wouldn't continue with another verse, but we will. Verse 14. Namam karmani limpanti, name karma phale spraha, iti mam yobhijanati, karma bhir nasa badhyate. In this verse, Shri Krishna is showing how he's not dependent on any of the factors described in verse 13, that he is transcendent of these factors. Specifically, namam karmani limpanti. I am not affected by any action. Name karma phale spraha. Nor do I long for or act for any result. Iti mam yaha abhijanati. Thus, or this, what I just stated, the one who knows this. Here, knowing is not intellectual. Intellectual means superficial. Knowing means personal. One is practicing this. Then, karma bihi nasa badhyate, they too will not be limited in any way. Summarizing, Shri Krishna is not dependent on any phala, that means result, which means not dependent on any karma, which means action, which means not dependent on any guna. Guna, intention, which means not dependent on any varna, which is inclination. Not dependent, transcendent. This reminds me of, for all of you who have watched the Ramayana serial that came out on television a long time ago, when Sri Rama is a child, he's looking at the moon and he wants his parents to bring the moon to them, to him and his brothers. So what do? They get pots of water, correct? And he's splashing around as if playing with the reflection. Here Sri Krishna's sharing with us, he is the moon, not the reflection. I start shaking that reflection. I throw that reflection out. What happens to the moon? Nothing. So we should live independently like Sri Krishna. Start with the phala. That's the most external or the most tactile. The only phala or result that we should be driven towards is purity. All I do should be to purify my guna, to evolve to become more selfless. And the fulfillment of this, varna. Varna means color, correct? What is the original color? To be colorless. It's not even white. Light has no color. That's how purity leads to avarna. That's who Sri Krishna is. We continue to a concluding verse of chapter 4. Verse 15. Evam yatva kritam karma purverapi mumukshubihi kuru karmeva tasmatvam purve purvataram kritam. Evam yatva kritam karma. Knowing this. Knowing what? Verses 1 to 10 about avatara. That you are protected by an adapter. You are the same presence. Act with this intention. Purvehi api mumukshubihi. In the past, those who wanted to be free, this is how they acted, with intention. Kuru karmeva tasmatvam. The way that they acted, tasmat, so too you should act. Did you all catch the word tasmat? That implies a conclusion in a thought flow. Purvehi, purvataram kritam. The way they acted is the way you should act. The key is not karma, but guna, intention. And just like they were freed, so too you will feel free. The name of this chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyasa. Jnana Karma Sannyasa. That is the theme of this chapter. I'll describe this more some weeks from now. In essence, you should have this jnana or insight, intention, while engaged in karma. Then what will your sannyasa be? Of deservership. Deservership. That's what's to be renounced. And see how that was one of the last statements that Sri Krishna makes. That I don't act for fulfillment, I act out of fulfillment. What I shared with all of you is act for purity. From inspiration to application. Your application recently was to dress up, which you did temporarily. And then more recently was to think and speak and write Om Ramaya Namaha, or I am joy. There's a lovely word of wisdom that shares Shrotrasya Bhushanam Shastram. The ornament. What makes the ears beautiful is listening to the scripture. Externally, you can be very grubby, like me. But internally, if what you're listening to is the scripture, if what you're chanting is, I am joy, then one is most handsome, most beautiful. Your application for this morning, do you all remember at the end of 2020, what I had shared would be our community sankalpa? Let's see if you remember. I'd shared our community resolution should be to be less annoyed and less annoying. It's like anger increased with the coronavirus. But what precedes anger is being annoyed and being annoying. Have you all engaged in swadhyaya? Are you a less annoyed person? Does your family think you're less annoying? Shall I ask them? Here is our community sankalpa for our new year. It is to be more cheerful. Last year was a don't. This year is a do, to be more cheerful. Shanti, shanti, shantihi. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be happiness.